We're in the next town over. About half a mile, 3/4 of a mile away is the ocean, on my right. On the other side of the property, this is a newer client I'm dealing with. And what's interesting is they own 3 acres. There's some swamp. There's some objectionable views, and some views that are not objectionable. No one's going to build on that side of the property. That's east, south, southeast. And behind me, there's another whole section of woods that no one's going to build on. But we do have, on the east side, the south side, and the north side, northeast, we're a little off of that, we have houses that need to be screened. What are we going to do it with? Let's take a look over to it, and there's the house. My client owns beyond that stone wall, probably to the first line of trees. About that. Here's where Thuja plicata, the giant arborvitae, will do well in the shade under that canopy of trees. Get them as small as we can get them, space them out irregularly, and block that view. This is a house that is intended to be sold 3 to 5 years down the road, maybe, that kind of thing. They're not planning on being here 20 years from now. People change plans, but that's one on mine right now. So screening that house would be a net benefit in what you're going to get for the place, I think. Here's where landscaping can improve the value of the property. And I'm going to show you the other extreme. That's, as I say, pretty much the south side of the property. Now we're going to go look at the north side. Pretty funny. Okay, the dog's going to be in the way, barking a bit, but we'll have to suffer that. What I wanted to show you, if we pan over to the left where we came from, there's the big objectionable view that's not helping this house. And we're going to swing back. And that, I said, needs a Thuja plicata because there's not another plant that's going to grow quick enough, hardy enough, going to be an evergreen, put up with shade and sun. And it's a wettish condition down there, and the giant arborvitae likes it a little bit wetter. On this side of the property, here we have another house. Clearly not a good year-round vista. Lovely house. That's not the question. So we go along this property, this wall. The stone wall's pretty much the property line. Irregular row of plicatas. I think it's 10 is what you need in here. Get them little. Don't get them big. And now that will screen out that house. So when they do plan on turning this whole house over, you'll have plantings that will be, let's call it 8 to 10 feet tall. I would say around there someplace. If we put in 3 to 4 foot plants, they'll probably be bigger than that. And it will take that view out of the picture, so you'll have a better feeling about this place than being open on both sides. And again, that's north, so that's not going to take any sun from my client's property at all. There's no net negative here anywhere. Okay, so there's 2 areas that plicatas might go in, and if that occurs, we'll chase it around down the road and see how it works. This is the left side of the driveway coming up in the same property. And in this world, in this day and age, in this house, this is probably a tear down. I mean, it's amazing what they buy now, pay a good deal of money for and tear them down. And so there's no thought that this is going to remain like that if it ever was sold. Even if it's changed around completely, it's not going to stay as it looks. But the client asked, what about this planting? What should we do to that? I said, absolutely nothing. That's fine. That all works. The daylilies, the hydrangea, the little trees. It all is fine. There's no dollar you're going to spend in here in maintenance or design that's going to be worth it. Minimal maintenance, just keep it neat looking the way it is. Is it perfect design? No, it's not. Is it any kind of an objectionable scene that I have to change in order to sell a property? No, it's fine. It's a good example of the dolling up of a property that is unnecessary, especially today with the amount of money that's spent. And people making the property their own. There's just no reason to try to fix any of it, except for that little plant. Now, it's kind of funny. This little plant that she lights up, she enjoys a little whimsy in the garden. The other day, let's shoot this for 1 second. That was in the middle of this planting when I got here. And again, this is a newer client for me. You had 3 focal points. You had a rose, and you had a big plant that's a PG hydrangea, one of the new ones. And you had a bird bath behind it, and you have a stone back there, and then you had also the little container with the Alberta spruce in it. That didn't make a lot of sense. And it was in that spot right there, yeah. So I said, get rid of that at least. You don't need it in there. And she happily did. And it's improved by having one less focal point anyway in there. Again, other than that, this all works fair enough. This is nice. The white pine is ludicrous right there. I told her to move it out of there. That's going to be gone. I think we'll just throw it in the edge of the woods someplace. Better high screen than none at all. Easily moved, but it clearly isn't doing anything right there. Pinus strobus is what that is, a white pine. I'll tell you what's fun. She wanted an apple tree. And over here, she went to a local nursery and picked out an apple, which was unfamiliar to me, I have to say. This is honey, what is it? Oh yeah, Honeycrisp, which is a newer apple tree. Not new, really. It's been around for, I shouldn't say that, the 80s. Very successful in Minnesota and different areas. They plant hundreds of acres of this tree. It's a great eating apple. It preserves 6 months easily and still has its taste. It's fewer insect problems to it. It's really a good homeowner apple tree. She's got to prune it, of course, and of course nobody ever does. I mean, far too much branching on a tree. And if you see how orchards prune apple trees, it's harsh, to say the very least. But it's planted pretty much at the right grade level. Doesn't get quite as much sun, should be in full sun. And it goes about 20-25 feet, this tree, about 20. And it's a semi-dwarf. And the dwarf apples, a weak root system. They're known to have a weaker root system. And you can see there's not much going on there. And I don't know that I would have used manure. I think she puts manure and stuff around these. I don't think I would have done that. But they like good drainage. They don't need great soil. Probably this doesn't have either. But it's going to be fun to see what the apple tree does. There's no big plans to move it. She's going to take out these 3 trees. Look like a tupelo, I guess. Take out these trees in the front and clean up the mesh here. And this will get a little more light. So here you have a client putting an apple tree. That usually I don't like that idea because every insect and disease known to man, and people think they're going to prune them and they don't. And the plant ends up being a wreck, and it's weak rooted anyway usually. So there's reasons to not be running around throwing an apple tree in. But this lady's kind of fun loving, and she wanted to try it and see how it does. It's a great example of making a place your own. So here you have Honeycrisp, interesting apple, good selection. Needs to be cross-pollinated. Doesn't pollinate itself well. And of course she didn't know that, and I don't know, maybe we'll get another apple and throw it someplace. And there's a list of 3 or 4 or 5 plants that do a good job cross-pollinating this. So there you have Honeycrisp.